Hi, Happy New Year. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sarah Wanyama. This is where we keep it real, simple, and fun. If you're new, please click the subscribe button. Today I have guests and they'll be helping me to discuss financial goals. So they are going to introduce themselves and tell us who they are and what they do so that we can start the discussion. Karibuni sana.
I'm happy to be this forum. My name is Robert Mtembe. I work as an advocate in Nairobi, and I'm happy, excited about the topic for today on financial.
Thank you, Sarah, for inviting us to the YouTube channel. Robert is my colleague, so I'm an advocate practicing in Nairobi, focusing on many things, a number of areas of law, and glad to know about this channel as well. I also welcome viewers to actually listen, and it's a very useful channel.
Thank you. So today we are going to talk about financial goals, focusing on 2021, but also looking at how we can set realistic goals and what simply is financial goals, because I have got tend to listen to mostly young people. My focus on this channel is young people with their finances and how we can be better people or be good stewards with our finances. So many people set goals and we have vision boards. Vision boards. I personally do vision boards and we hang them in our houses. But people are not able to differentiate their personal goals with their financial goals. And at times we make different vision boards or different goals with that life. Like you have a personal financial life and your personal goals. And at times it is so tasky to merge them or blend them together. So that's the discussion. And I would want the two of you maybe to explain to us what you think financial goals are in your own language. You are advocates, so your language may be kind of complex, but you can explain in your own world what you think financial goals are.
Well, you said here we keep it simple.
Yeah, we keep it simple, real, and savvy.
So we will do just that. Keep it very simple. Well, in my understanding, financial goals would be a target you set on how you intend to use your finances for a period of time. So if we're talking about 2021 financial goals, it would entail the targets that you put in place on how you intend to use your money or even generate money for the period of 2021. Yes, that is how I can keep it simple.
So how you target set on how you use your money over a period. Yes. Titus?
Yeah, I think it's the same. Two sides to it. How you generate and how you spend. Physical inflow and outflow. So over a defined period of time. So if you're talking about the 2021 financial year, those 12-month period is what you project will come in, what you get. And then is what will be expended, and also what you intend to do. So it is really looking at the money that is coming in, what you're doing with it, the projects, the expenses, and many other things, and what remains, and what you do, of course, with what also remains. So those financial goals are the big, like you say, the target that you have for what you want to do. It could be saving that money in whatever account, it could be investing it, it could be even taking care of something that is important, even though not necessarily an investment, stuff like that.
Okay. And how do you do your financial individually? How do you go through that process of setting financial goals and making sure that you stick to those financial goals?
Okay, personally, maybe I can take the example of the year that just ended, the year 2020. I started by learning about budgeting. So I sat down, came up with a personal budget. So I had two columns. I put in one column I indicated the income that I was expecting monthly or on a periodic basis for the entire year. And then I had a list of expenses that would be incurred on a monthly basis or on an annual basis or on whatever period for the year. So that was one of the approaches I used, coming up with a budget to help me set expenditure goals. So meaning that the money that was coming in was already planned how it would be distributed. But the challenge was sticking to the budget. So probably I would be happy to hear that from the host. Maybe how do you get the skill to maintain the discipline to stick to the budget? But that is how I began the year. And now that we are beginning another year, probably it's time to review that and see how better it can be done. Yes.
Do you think you can manage your money without those goals? Like just wake up, it's a new year, I don't have goals. You simply don't have goals, and then do you think that kind of living will give you much bare fruits at the end in terms of your personal finance management?
I think it would be disastrous to say I will just proceed spending money without a plan. Because even if the plan may not be elaborate or written down, there should be a plan. Even if it's not reduced in writing. Maybe there are people who are good at making mental notes, like my friend Ricky here. He can have an entire plan in his mind, and that is still a plan. So if you do not have a plan on how you will spend your money, it means you are not deliberate on how you apply your money. And with time needs keep coming up, and you need to keep making decisions on how to use that money. So if there is no pre-planned way of using the money, it will go to needs as they come. It will mainly be attending to emergencies, and it may not achieve any tangible benefit in the end. So the benefit that I would see for having a plan is that it will avoid a situation where my money merely goes to emergencies, because every now and then you receive calls from people on who needs what, which contribution you need to make. So at the start of the year, you need to be able to have a percentage that will go to giving, a percentage that will go to various categories of expenditure. And I think that way there is much more that can be achieved from that money than if you didn't have a plan.
Muriuki, what's the hardest thing have you encountered, or you think that comes with goal setting in terms of your finances?
The biggest challenge. I think the biggest challenge really is depending on how one has grown up, because I think there's, how one interacts with money is largely a result of their upbringing. So um, usually find that people are, say, quite generous, others are a bit reckless with money, others are quite prudent with money, others really don't care, others appear to have an unhealthy obsession with money, others really mean, and others are, I think, different behaviors, which some are a reflection of their upbringing or what they have seen, what they have experienced. So maybe somebody has had a lot of luck. I mean, they have lucked before, so that scares them a lot and makes them want to obsess with that. Another one, maybe they have had plenty, and so another one maybe do not appreciate how difficult maybe it is to get money, and so they likely, So I think the biggest challenge, not only for myself but I would presume for many people, is overcoming that background, overcoming that worldview that you have on how money should be spent or how you should deal with it. There's somebody actually, courtesy of their upbringing, who already has a very good foundation. They're very prudent. Maybe the parents taught them many things, then that is easy. But for most, I think for the majority of people, they don't have that. Some are either too mean or too restrictive, or too much obsessed, or others are quite careless. And I think therefore, for me, I think that's one of the biggest challenge. And another one really, of course, now the discipline. In order to do that, not to have financial goals, you need to have discipline. Because most of the time, you will, except for people who are mean, for the rest, they have a problem keeping the spending in check, especially. So some have impulse buying, others want to do some things with their friends. Others can't want to help. You have to support all your relatives. And of course, when that is good, it might not work because you might not be able to resolve all those issues. Because what you notice is that point which you were saying that many people keep on calling, so you find yourselves in WhatsApp groups for different kinds of contributions. You'll have your many relatives asking a number of things, saying they want you to support them in this sense, and sometimes you really feel you need to do that kind of thing. So, and it's also, I mean, things that you also need to do. Somebody could actually be paying for your school fees, for charge, many things. And so those conflicts that arise, because of the many needs that are there, is also a challenge. Striking that balance. So I think those are some of the challenges.
So we have all agreed that goal setting is important. Setting goals for your finances is important. And there is a word we learn in school there, smart, how to set goals. Yeah, and they tell us the goals should be realistic, should be time bound, it should be achievable, should be measurable, and should be the S specific. I don't know whether that's how we do it, and I'm not sure if it has changed, but I have found many people, when they are setting goals, they do not you are not specific. You don't have a time frame for it, and it is especially mine. Most of my goals in 2020, I was able to meet some of them. But if you had looked at my initial vision board for January, they were so unrealistic. Let me say unrealistic, because things that you do not achieve. I have found so many people do that, not having a realistic goal to be able to achieve. How would you help that some person? How would you tell them to do? Because others, yes, have the goals, but those goals are not realistic, and they get frustrated at the end of the year. A friend of mine also told me they don't let go so that they do not become disappointed that they cannot achieve them. Because at the end of the year, they look at it and they can't tick anything they have achieved. So how would you let someone go through that process without feeling that they have to be disappointed at the end of the year?
But for such a person, I can say they need to look at it as something very simple. Sometimes we complicate goal setting. We think it is a whole idea that is foreign and something that is
Too serious.
yes, too serious, or for a certain group of
For
people.
people who, like now for you advocates, it seems that it is your way of life to set goals and crush them. Yes. So, too serious?
Yes, or maybe only for financial experts. But I can say it's just the way you plan your life. Just the way you plan your other areas of life, and you wouldn't walk through a year without having something that you are aiming to achieve. For example, if you are running a business, there's a certain target that you have, say for the day that you are there for business. You can't just say that I will go, whatever happens, happens. People have goals in other areas of life. So just transfer the same idea to your finances. And it's as simple as thinking of how much money you expect to get. That you're looking at your finances in a realistic way. Looking at your income, looking at your expenses, and deciding how do I want to spend this money, how do I want to earn more money. And I think if you do not have a deliberate approach to your finances, you will end up either wasting money or wasting opportunities, because we use money to generate money. You may lose an opportunity to save because you are not deliberately saving. Sometimes you look at your M-Pesa statement and you wonder, oh, this money has gone through my phone. Or even when you get your bank statement at the end of the year, you check the in and out, the credits and the debit, and you find a lot of money has gone through your bank account. And you look back, and if you had decided you would be saving a small amount of that money, you would have been much richer, or you would have had much more that you would have saved at the end of the year. So I can say, for those people who think that goal setting is difficult, they just need to look at it as a simple tool to manage your life. And it shouldn't be isolated just because it has to do with finances. Just the way people plan their other areas of life, the way you plan for your finances. Yeah, just having targets that drive you.
Morioki, anything you can add for those people who feel like goal setting is not their thing, they don't want to be disappointed, they don't want to.
Of course, we usually say that you don't want to be disappointed. It's true to have no expectation. But I think either way you will still get disappointed, because if you know financial goals, for instance, and say you waste your money, you still have regret. If even though maybe it's not, I wanted to say buy a piece of land. If you had that goal and I've got it, you'll feel happy. If you are unable to, you'll feel disappointed. But even if you are not such plan to buy a piece of land, at the end of the day, you won't have it. And maybe you feel that I could have had it. So whichever way still, you'll sort of feel disappointed, because I think this other one is more like burying your head in the sand and not wanting to care. But ultimately, I think you still sort of get disappointed. So the point is, everyone should just try to have a financial goals, whether you've got some little money or a lot of money. I think to have to respond to yourself, some people think there's no substantial having financial goals. But I think if you look at what most people, in fact, I think there was this survey, which I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, which was showing that in fact the average pay, like almost 50% of people in formal employment earn below, earn around 30 or 40,000 shillings. And the people who earn above 100,000 shillings is only 3% of the total, like 3 million people who are employed in the formal sector in Kenya. They are the only ones who earn above 100,000 shillings. And the people, almost 50% earn around 40,000. Those in formal employment. Of course, there are others who are in the informal sector and others who are doing businesses. But that then already tells you that most of the people who people usually imagine have money, who are formally employed in the formal sector, they don't earn much. And I think that's where most of our relatives, uncles, our parents, especially, that's the bracket that they fall under, and that's where they have been all their career lives. And most of their parents are teachers, police, that kind of civil servants, and those are the ones those are the figures really that they have been earning all their life until retirement, unless those who have either family wealth or other businesses on the side. But they have been able, look at the tremendous things they have been able to do with that money. Some been able to educate over 5 people on the way to college. They have been able to build or buy 1 or 2 few assets. But if you actually work with those figures, you might actually say, I can't do this. You know this, because you actually, for many people, if they are given maybe that 30,000 shillings and they have a family of 5 people, and they're in an urban center where they're renting, most of them actually won't manage. In fact, you wonder how that works. But it's because they have been very, very disciplined in terms of how they spend their money. So for them, you won't see them, saying, well, just 100 shillings, just do this. And I think that's what obviously maybe the younger generation don't usually appreciate. We want to have some big money. I mean, if somebody is given some amount like that, they say, this can't even help, let me just spend it, whichever way. So there are those issues. But the point is, whichever way, whether earning a lot or small, I think having some goals in mind is important.
So what we have said is, be deliberate with your money, and you both said be simple in your goal setting. And I also want to add the fact that we fail in our goal setting. We do not reflect that at the end of the year, because we do not have measurable. We will not make it measurable in terms of divide it into months, divide it into weeks and days. That's this. If I have decided that I want to save 1 million this year, which I want to this year save, I divide it into months, divide it into weeks, and divide it in a day, how much I should save towards that goal. So those are some of the things. So now for you two, what did you achieve all your 2020 financial goals?
I didn't achieve 100%. The bit generous, I can give myself 80%.
Oh wow, that's not even generous. That's
Some of the areas that I would want to do better are touch on the expenditure plan. At some point, I wasn't very deliberate on expenditure, and the other thing that I would want to do better would be maybe saving more. And lastly, I would take advantage of certain strategies that make it easier to channel money either to savings or to where it should go. For example, if you just used standing order in a bank, so that if you're supposed to channel a certain amount of money to a savings account or to a certain investment, it goes there immediately at source, so that you don't receive the money and then you think
need
about
other needs arise at that time.
Yes, it can easily go other direction. So yeah, that is what I can say.
Would you?
Yeah, I also think but of course there are things that could be improved upon, including the fact that related to what he's saying, the expenditure. So I think in terms of something is needed here, sort of like you just decide to give in give some here. So I think that kind of thing, maybe it's, I don't know whether it's to reduce what you might call miscellaneous expense, because I think the miscellaneous expense are a little bit high, then you give yourself a lot of room to do that kind of thing. Maybe that can be added to. I think that's sort of like his problem, right? We need to reduce the miscellaneous expenses that you have, because if it is there, you'll spend. That's what it means. But if it is not there, you'll obviously find yourself because you can't spend what you don't have. So I think that's one of the issues. We were also talking about in terms of doing standing orders, but of course there are also other ways in which maybe people can, because that bit of financial goals we haven't spoken much about, but we can also speak about trying to increase the pie, to increase the income streams, to increase the money, so that you are able to achieve those financial goals more easily. Because when you're initially doing the financial goal, you know about, I usually have maybe salary or this income from this business or here, but there's a way in which you can put up a side business, you can take on another jobs, another time you can do something else, and therefore you increase the income, and therefore you're able to reach your financial goals much more quickly. Or if you wanted to improve your standard of living, somebody might be wanting to do that. It can be a legitimate financial goal so long as you want it and you can afford it. But then you see that also means you need to increase your income, and so that's something also that we can also look towards.
Okay. So even I want us to wrap up with this question.